outlining like a pro. Like I was able to use the same system or a similar system that I teach my clients where I literally had to map out the chapters of my dissertation. I had to map out the chapters, well, the sections and the topics of my chapter 2, which is my literature review, literally like a content plan, and identify those core messages and building those arguments up that aligned. And while when it comes to my voice and structure, while academic writing is formal, I still had to structure my ideas in a way that flowed. Welcome to the Published and Paid podcast, where we share book, business, leadership, and life lessons in 20 minutes or less to help you build a thought leadership brand and business. My name is Jasmine Womack. I'm a former middle school language arts teacher turned 7-figure entrepreneur, and I am glad that you are here. Let's get started. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Published and Paid podcast, the show where we blend life, leadership, and legacy. And I'm your host, Jasmine Womack, and today's episode is deeply personal, yet extremely relevant for anyone balancing professional excellence, academic excellence, and professional purpose. And so I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes of my dissertation journey and sharing how I'm using the writing skills that I've developed over the years, not just to finish this degree, but actually to write my next book in real time. So whether you're a student, whether you're a coach, a thought leader, or someone who's ever wrestled with writing at a high level, this is for you, okay? And so here's the truth. Like, I've been helping people to write books, build coaching programs, and use their message to grow their brands for years, guys. Like almost a decade I've been doing this work. But when it came time for me to go back to school for my doctorate in my doctorate in education, in leadership and curriculum, I had to decide, how can I make this research not just a requirement, but how can I leverage this to build a platform? And I think that this is so important because I think it was someone who had responded to one of my posts on Instagram, and they said, there's not a lot of financial incentive for anyone to go back and get a doctorate. And I'm like, yeah, that's if you are going about it the original way. But I went into this with a mindset and with the goal of monetizing it. Like, I'm never going to do anything just for the sake of having a title. Like, what is the purpose? Why would I put myself through that? Like, if I'm going to put in this time, this effort, this energy, and pay for this, and there really needs to be an ROI on the back of this for the rest of my life. And it has to do more than with just having esteem or having a title, right? And so for me, my dissertation isn't just a paper to submit. It is literally the foundation for my next published work. And so for any of you all that may be unfamiliar with the academic process, a doctoral degree is a terminal degree. It is not the same as these honorary doctorates that these paper mills are putting out. Now, there are honorary doctorates that are like official credentials. Like, so for instance, say Felicia Rashad or Michelle Obama receives an honorary doctorate from Howard University, from Princeton, from Harvard University for their contributions to society. Those are legitimate honorary doctorates. They came from legitimate institutions. There was an actual commencement ceremony that took place in an auditorium or a stadium. What we might see now on social media, which I think is just absolutely ludicrous, are these made up schools that have no academic accreditation at all, no affiliation with anything. And these schools typically will give so-called honorary doctorates, usually like in Christian leadership or something like that, to influencers, to celebrities, and they use it as a marketing tool to bring attention to their institution, to their school, and to attract people to their program, because they do charge for these programs somewhere upwards of, anywhere between $6,000 and $8,000 from my research, because I've gone to these websites, I looked up the programs, I've seen them, and I'm like, this is absolutely ludicrous. And I think the worst part is people who get invited to one of these so-called honorary doctorates and they don't do anything. They don't put in any type of studying. They don't do anything. And they have this fake commencement ceremony, usually in some type of room. And then they're putting doctor all over the place and misleading people, and they haven't studied anything. And so I think that there's a difference. You need to know the difference. A traditional doctorate, first of all, any industry can have a doctorate. A doctor in education, a doctor of medicine, which is an MD, a doctor of law, which is a Juris Doctorate, okay? A doctor in business. Like, there are professional doctoral programs. In my industry, it's called an EDD, a Doctor of Education. And as a part of that, we have to create and we have to write what's called a dissertation, which is basically research. It's a 5-chapter book that goes into detail about the research that you're conducting, the research that's already out there on your topic, your a breakdown of your research, how you conducted the research, the findings, the implications, what this means, and what your suggestions are. So really, when I'm saying 5 chapters, I'm not talking about, meat and potatoes. We're talking about upwards of 150 to 200 pages, Times New Roman 12 point font, APA. Okay. APA style citation, and then you have to defend it. And so that's just that part of, usually there's 2 to 3 years of coursework where you are working towards that. You're learning the different research methodologies. You're learning about statistics. You're learning all these things that you have to do in preparation for preparing this dissertation, writing it, and then defending it. And upon defense, your work is published and you are conferred the title of doctor, and it is the highest level of degree that you can get. Okay? So those are the differences between an earned doctorate, a true honorary doctorate, like from a reputable institution, and then these doctorates that these paper mills are given out. It was probably about a year prior to this recording where one of those paper mill schools reached out to me via DM and said that they wanted to give me an honorary doctorate, and the ceremony was going to be on March such and such, and to let them know if I was coming. Like, literally, that was it. And if I was going to come, they were going to give me the details. I show up, and then they give me, like, I was just like, this is insane. I'm not doing that. So I think that we need to know the differences between the professional credentials and the fake ones. And if you want to know what anyone, if it's real or not, just ask someone, what did you go to school? Where did you go? Where did you attend school? What was your program of study, right? What did you have to do to get it? Or what was your dissertation on? Like, I know medical doctors, I don't believe they have to write dissertations. I haven't gone through that process, but theirs is in practice. I know that they have a lot of hands-on that they have to do, but I don't know the full process of becoming a medical doctor. But it's a process. And I tell you this, it's not 6 months. It's not 3 months. And so oftentimes when you'll go on people's websites and they just have doctor such and such, and they don't specify whether it's a PhD or EDD, or they don't tell you what school they went to, what they studied, usually it wasn't real. Okay. Okay. Because usually somebody can say, I earned my MED, or I earned my PhD, I earned my EDD from X, Y, and Z school. And then you can look that school up to see if it's an actual reputable institution. Anywho, I needed to say that because so many people don't know the difference. And some do, and they don't care. They just want the title for what it looks like on social media, but it holds no weight in the professional world. So let's talk about the difference between real world writing skills and the academic world. Because when you decide to go back to school, it's literally like being in 2 different worlds. You've got what you have to do in the system to excel. Then you have what you have to do in entrepreneurship. And they are literally 2 polar opposites. And so when I'm doing my academic work, I kind of have to shut down my entrepreneurial brain. And then when I'm doing my entrepreneurial work, I don't like doing the academic stuff anyway. So that's just kind of easy to put in the back of my mind. So academic writing is a total different beast. And if you've never written a book or thought about it, like, here's what carries over. Because many of you all who are interested in writing a book, you may try to come at this creative entrepreneurial task with an academic mindset, and you're not going to be able to. So I will say this, outlining like a pro, like I was able to use the same system or a similar system that I teach my clients, where I literally had to map out the chapters of my dissertation. I had to map out the chapters, well, the sections and the topics of my chapter 2, which is my literature review, literally like a content plan, and identify those core messages and building those arguments up that aligned. And while when it comes to my voice and structure, while academic writing is formal, I still had to structure my ideas in a way that flowed. And I still had to be true to my voice and to my perspective. And so that means even when you're getting into theory, it can still be communicated with clarity and confidence. And but clarity is a skill. Like really being specific, being to the point, writing tight, clear sentences, it makes a world of difference instead of trying to sound deep for the sake of sounding deep and then you got to rewrite it anyway. And then I will say this, writing in sprints, like having specific time to write. Like when it comes to writing this, you can't wait until you feel like it. You can't wait for the motivation to hit. I've had to schedule time, show up and get it done. Like get your mind in the game, get out of your feelings. And so when you are writing a book, it's the same way. There is no sitting down and waiting to feel empowered or motivated to write. This is where discipline kicks in, where it's like I have to be disciplined to sit down and do this. And so just like I do with my coaching programs, like I do with my other books, like really leaning into discipline. And so here's where it gets good, because I'm not just writing a dissertation. I am leveraging this content to enhance my own coaching programs. I'm leveraging this content that I'm using in my dissertation to create a certification program and writing my next book in real time. And so this is what it looks like, right? So I'm able to adapt some of the stories, lessons, and insights that are written in my voice into my book. So, like on one hand, where I have citations, it's lit reviews, academic tone, I'm able to take that research and use it to back up the information and the stories and the advice and the strategies that I'm sharing in my actual book. And so that means that I will be able to have a book written creatively, right? But also backed up by research. So I want you, whenever you're creating something, if you're an academia or writing any type of research-based project, I want to challenge you to think about completing it with repurposing it in mind. I want you to like really think beyond the degree and think about how you're going to leverage your work to build, to grow, or to enhance your next. I want you to think about how you're going to use that and how you can use it to monetize, right? So I've had to overcome some challenges because even though I'm successful, fairly successful in my business, when it comes to writing, in this academic world, I've had people there saying, oh, this and that can't be done. It's going to take you a long time. I will be straight up honest. Time management has been my biggest challenge. Like the work itself isn't hard. It's managing kids' tutorials, managing birthday parties, managing full weekends of athletic events, managing marriage, managing my health, and managing the business, growing the business while still hosting events, while still doing this, because filling all those roles with all those hats is no joke, right? And so I have had to say, you know what? I'm not going to focus on perfection while I'm writing this. My goal, which is something that I teach my clients in the Published and Paid Academy while we are writing books, my goal with this is not perfection. My goal with this is not for it to be all the way 100. My goal is to get my ideas, get my first draft of this done and on paper. And if I can do that, if I can write my original 40 to 50 pages and get this down, then I can work on the restructuring, the reorganizing, the details, and all the perfectionism later as I'm working with the editor. I will say that every challenge has refined my process because it's really made me a better writer. It's made me a better coach, and it's made me a better student, because I'm not just doing this. I'm also in like 3 masterminds. So, and I'm doing the work of those too. So I've really, really had to learn and really master segmentation, compartmentalization. I've had to master batching. I've had to master, focusing on certain elements or certain programs or certain things at a time. Like I've really had to master that. And I know that it can be done. Right. And so I just want you to know that if you're on a dissertation on a dissertation journey, or if you're thinking about one, I want you to remember this, that your dissertation can be more than a degree requirement. I also want you to know that going and getting a doctoral program is not a replacement for therapy. It's not going to help you feel better as a person. It's not going to give you a deeper sense of fulfillment or meaning. You are completing schoolwork. You are completing a report to get a degree. And so you need to have a deeper sense of purpose, right? It's not an escape or running from your problems, because a lot of us, especially when I say us, I mean women, we like to try to run to school or to do those things to avoid the problems that we're facing. It's not a substitute, right? Like you still have to commit to being the best you, or else you're just gonna have a degree and still be mean, cantankerous, and have anxiety all through the roof and not have peace. Like it's not a replacement for peace. It's not a replacement for confidence. Those things come from within. But it absolutely can be a tool to grow your brand and to monetize it if you work it properly and if you position it. Okay? So it can definitely be your next brand building book. It can be the foundation to a brand building book. It can, position more doors. Like I will tell anybody, I want to go back to get my doctorate, because it's number one, always been a lifelong goal. And number two, my goal in my next season of life is to really up level my speaking and training. And I know that I can command higher rates with a doctorate. Like literally that's why. I know without a shadow of a doubt I can command more rates. It's going to give me more clout because I have that research. I've created research in the industry and I have it behind my name, especially with what I'm doing my dissertation on. It's largely an untapped market. And so use what you know, tap into your writing rhythm, and remember why you started. Because you're doing this for impact. And so if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Definitely send me a DM on Instagram at @Jasmine Send us an email at hello@JasmineWomack. Leave a review on Apple or Spotify podcast. And if you are writing a book, working on your dissertation, or somewhere in between, I've got the resources to help. You can look in the show notes. And for those of you all who are working on your next, we have the Create Your Own Stage Live coming up in Alpharetta, Georgia, December 4th and 5th. We have both limited in-person seating and virtual options. So look down below in the show notes for that link as well. And go ahead and grab your seat. I'd love to see you in the room. See you on the next episode.